Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It's Trevor Stockwell here with today's episode. Now, are you a firm believer that hard work equals success? Well, today's guest discovered around 5 years ago that ethos wasn't working for her. So she created a new business model where holistic health and wealth are an integral part of the business and its success. Susanne helps business owners and CEOs redefine success, and she's going to share some of that insight with us today. She's a work-life balance integration expert. She's an intuitive business coach and consultant, and an international best-selling author of the book Leaders, Women in Business Changing the World. Welcome, Susanne Grant.
I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for the lovely introduction.
No, I'm really interested to chat with you and find out more about your expertise. But also, first of all, share us a little bit of your background as to your journey that got you to where you are today.
Well, it's a fascinating story, or at least I believe so. I moved to the UK a few years ago. So as you can hear by my accent, I'm not originally from the UK, but I grew up in the Netherlands. And I went to university there, and I actually had a specialization in earth science, specifically geoarchaeology. And I did my master's in history, Holocaust, and genocide. So what I specialized in is the people, us humans, the technique, the culture, and how we interact in extreme situations, such as a genocide or a Holocaust. Believe it or not, that actually comes in quite handy in my current work, but I will share about that more later. But as I did the work that I do, I was a part of teams in my spare time where we helped dig up bodies from the Second World War to do like DNA analysis, isotopes, that kind of research in top of the historic research to still find missing Dutch people. And luckily, we also found in the Netherlands other people who passed away in the war, of course, in our country. So on a global scale, we helped families reunite with their loved ones. On top of that, I also had my regular job, and I worked for different international companies where I worked as a data analyst because I am really good at spotting patterns and working with numbers. And with my intuition combined, it turns out when you combine, you got feelings with numbers, that works a charm when working with big data and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, as you already know, but we talked about it before. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to move to the UK, something I dreamed of ever since I was 15. I went here on holiday, and I jumped. I went for the opportunity, and I moved to Aberdeen, Scotland, where I still live. And as I was pregnant with my first, as you can imagine, the Holocaust, the topic, the energy, the emotions, everything that comes with it, turned out to be a bit too heavy, to put it nicely. And I just really noticed I just could not do these kind of things anymore. So obviously, also on top of that, moving to a new country, I had to go do something else. So originally, after the pregnancy and the first year that I took off to look after myself and my little one, I was like, I just want to help people, right? Which originally started with supporting women during pregnancy, birth, and early motherhood, that whole journey. But as my business developed, I discovered there's a lot more to it. And to me, specializing more and more in that whole work-life balance thing, equal opportunities, equal rights for women to getting the support. And most of the times, those women I work with are also female business owners who went through that journey. And now I've been in business now well over 5 years. And now I solely work with business owners and help them find a work-life balance that actually works for them as a person, but also for their family and their business, because we get taught as a culture, as a society, hence the history part that comes in handy for this. That success comes through hard work, success comes through sacrifice, and the clients that I work with, they're over that. they want to have a life that is fulfilling, and they feel great, and they feel healthy, and they have enough time to spend it with their loved ones, but also have that impact with their business, their desire. But how do you have both when you only have so much hours in a day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the short story. I can obviously talk about this forever, but yeah, that's the last 10 years summarized, and now we're here.
Absolutely. No, it's an interesting kind of journey you've been on, because it also, from what I'm hearing, it sets you in a good place to understand what business owners nowadays are going through. You've lived it, you've experienced it, and you've made the changes that you found that you needed to, and a lot of those changes, I'm sure, will help all the listeners as well. So let's do some of the practical things. But I like the phrase you've got that says "work smarter, not harder." So explain a little bit about what that means.
Well, the thing is that often it gets said, like, if you want a success, you just need to work harder and you put in, your 80 hours and you will succeed. But if you spend 80 hours of your time working on the wrong thing, you're never going to have the success you want, or at all. Or the success you have is just like moderate. It's like, my business is going, but it's such a struggle, right? Yeah. So what I help my clients figure out is, where can they apply themselves, the energy that they get, the 80-20 rule is for an example here. Where do you put 80% of the return for 20% of your energy? How do you spot these opportunities? Because often, especially with busy people, because I work with busy people, we fall for the trap where you just do your things each day, every day, just because you have to, right? It's on my to-do list, I'll just get it done. But I want people to start realizing and consciously choosing what they're actually putting their energy towards. Is that just because it's there, just because you think it should be there, just because someone told you it should be there? But what do you want? What is your inner guidance system? What's your gut feeling? What are you getting from yourself where you think you should go? And once you start working with the energy and the law of attraction, I'm sure more people have spoken to you about it as well, Trevor, where you allow the universe to back you up in the plans that you're trying to create, it becomes so much easier. Hence the work smarter, not harder.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's different for everyone, isn't it? In the sense, we are all unique. We have certain things that we have in common. We all struggle to get the balance of things, I would say, most of the time. And maybe there are times as a species, probably quite regularly, that we get our priorities wrong. I'm sure nobody really starts a business hoping that they ruin their family. They wear out their health, their body, but they make lots of money. The goal is always the happy medium, isn't it? But it can be such a challenge to keep that balance, I would say. So it's good that you're certainly helping business owners and CEOs and everyone that you help to kind of help get that balance going. What would you say would be one of the biggest challenges that business owners face with regards to almost like an addiction to being busy?
Yeah, well, you answered your own question there. It's the way we are designed to work is that we're goal-oriented, or at least most of us are working towards our next goal and achieving what we want to achieve. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm not trying to keep talking people out of taking action and just parking their butt cheeks on the couch for a day. But it's taking inspired action from a place where you, like I said, you work with the energy that you have as a human and people around you. So the example that I always use, for example, if you want bread today, right? I used to work in the bakery when I lived in Amsterdam. So I know how the bread was made. So the bakers did, with the sourdough and then the making, and it was like a whole 2-day process. And then I could cut it and sell it to the customer. No, it was like a 2-3 day before you actually could have a bread. Well, if you love baking bread and you love to have your hands all dirty and the smell of the fresh, that's fantastic, right? But if you just want to have something to eat today, it may not be the most time efficient way to do things. So you can obviously also just go to a bakery or a shop, buy a piece of bread, eat it. But you can also have, for example, your neighbor knock on the door saying, "Oh, I had some bread left. Would you like it?" Which of course is even more time efficient. So depending on what you want, each option is of course a valid solution to what it is. But if you always think, yeah, but I need to bake it and then get my hands to, oh, it's so hard, then it's gonna be hard because you always take the long way to achieving that one slice of bread for lunch. But you can also have random people show up on your doorstep with bread, which of course works perfect for you as well. But the thing is that most people on mindset believe it has to be hard, it has to be difficult, it has to be the payoff that I get has to come through struggle, because otherwise I'm not worthy of it. So it all boils down to us valuing ourselves enough as a person to allow us to make it easy to be worthy of things. Just go, poof, there you go. Sure. And those kind of things. And that's the trickiest thing, because where do you limit yourself in this belief that you can have it all, that you can have an easy balance? Because even you say, yeah, it's a struggle, isn't it, finding the balance? Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But it's something we tell ourselves. It's something we get taught. It's something out there that if you look on I don't know, different resources on the internet, it always comes through struggle, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we are kind of programmed that way, aren't we, in a lot of ways from what we hear.
Yeah.
I think also one of the biggest kind of things that can easily trip us up is activity is not necessarily accomplishment. And we kind of, as we were talking before, it's like it's almost being busy can sound like you're important. You can't get to this because you have an appointment somewhere else. You have to do something, and it can be very subtle. But there can be like almost like a pride wrapped up in this is I'm important because I can't make this and I can't do that. And really, if we flip it around, we're closing ourselves off from good opportunities. Maybe time with family.
Yeah, because you're busy with other stuff.
With holding up this false flag that we're busy and that's important, and that means we're successful. So
not everything can be equally important.
Yes, yeah. So how do you? I'm thinking for the business owners out there that are listening, and maybe they've not yet got the right balance. I'm sure there's a handful at least. What would be kind of some of the things that you would maybe as a first step advise that they would think about and try and incorporate, or how would they get the balance?
Yeah, the thing is that, like I said before with the conditioning, is that there's so much things we think we want because we were taught that that's the thing we want. So are the goals you're working towards something that you want as a person, or are you told that that's something you want? So it's a bit of soul searching that I recommend anyone listening would do, and really just crawl into bed early, get a nice glass of whatever it is you drink, and get some pen and paper out and just start writing, and just what do I really want from my family life, for me as a person, for me, my business. What do I want, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically? What is it that you truly desire to achieve? And if you then look at the things you're actually doing, so make a second list. So for example, you work, 9 to 5, or we're still on lockdown at this moment, so maybe it's for evening and weekends, but whatever it is you're doing with your current schedule, and see how the things that matter to you are actually reflected in your current schedule. And 9 out of 10 times, the things that really matter to someone in all areas of their lives aren't actually on the things that they're actually doing or working towards. And that's a clear sign that you're just obviously going more and more in the direction of where you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And that's when, for example, health problems show up. So I'm working with a lot of female entrepreneurs on period health issues around that. You can have back pains, that kind of stuff that start out as a niggle. And because you keep moving away from your feelings, your inner guidance system, they come louder and louder and louder and louder until that, of course, at some point, becomes too loud and you have to deal with it. But it's if you take a moment just to sit down and just really listen to what it is you want. Just throw out. No one's listening, and we're not looking at your piece of paper. Just write down what's your unique desires, what it is you truly want. And of course, at some point, start implementing those things. So, for example, if you would love to spend more time with your partner each week, but because you're both busy people, you both have conflicting schedules, or you don't plan right, so you're always messing up appointments or date nights, whatever it is you're planning. Sit down together and actually block something off that you can spend time together. If that's something that is important to you, make the time for it. Life's too short. If there's something we learned of 2020, life's too short to be messing around. And just make the time for things that matter to you. And whatever that is, give yourself permission to prioritize your needs and your family and your business needs. And that's where the balance thing starts. Just recognizing what it is you desire and start working towards that.
Sounds good. Yeah. So is that kind of what you mean when you say alignment before action?
Yes.
You kind of get priorities clarified, first of all, and then where you want to put your energy, where you want to put your time.
Yeah, so if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So and the alignment piece is also obviously, if you say, for example, just a personal example, I was a few weeks ago, I was love to be featured on like a business magazine because I just had new headshots taken and like beautiful bright yellow clothes, right? I was thinking, that would look perfect on the front of a business magazine. And I looked into it, the example of, the bakers, see how do you get on it? You can, of course, pay for it, you can get network and that kind of stuff. So I was meditating, and I get an email the next day from a business magazine that I write for on a monthly basis. Yeah, they love my work so much. Can we put you on the front cover? Right? And that's the neighbor knocking on your door, right? Even if I didn't look into all the other magazines and did my whole research and that kind of stuff, that would have just shown up. And that's the alignment piece, is that because this is what I want, this is what I desire. I believe I can do it. I believe I can have it. I believe I'm worthy of whatever it is, your mindset is on that topic. And following your instincts, your guts, your ideas, your inspired action, and move towards whatever it is you're working for. And that makes it so much easier, and it makes you so much more productive because you're not going against the energy, you're working with it. And that's how things seem to appear out of the blue. And poof, there is things. And that's why when I work with clients, we really dive into what makes you feel good. Because I don't know about you growing up, but it wasn't necessarily a priority. That's like self-care, looking after yourself, that you're allowed to feel good and then, go out there. It was always doing first. Yeah. And then you somewhere, at the bottom of the list. And I encourage my clients to flip that around. So if you feel great, your ideas will be better, your work will be better, you get better quality delivered. So if you, for example, one of my clients, she has a marketing agency. Now the writing she does right now, she's like, oh my God, I didn't know I could do that. Just because she's in such a better place.
Yeah.
And she's much, quicker because, something that normally would have taken her 2 hours, she's done in like 30 minutes because she's and then it's like, and then I have time to go for a nice walk or, do something else. But it starts with looking after you and what makes you feel good and taking action from a place of feeling great.
Yeah, that's really good. I like the bit what you said, particularly about you were writing for, was it a journal or magazine? Anyway,
business magazine, yes.
Magazine. And because kind of you're carried on and you're doing that, then the opportunity came to you that way. And I think that's a really good example of keeping your priorities right, isn't it? And not rushing to try and do everything or chasing every...
Yeah, the fear of missing out. That's something my clients sometimes...
Yeah. Yeah.
struggle with. Yes.
I think that in particular it's one of those undercurrents, isn't it? Which, unless we're very self-aware, we don't realize that that's actually influencing quite a lot of our decisions or choices that we make. And it's good that you mentioned it, because I think we do need to just stop and question, what is actually driving this desire to do X, Y, Z, whatever the action is that I'm thinking about, or I'm spending more time on it than I should. I know I shouldn't be spending this much time, but it's actually taking longer. Why is that? There's several different ways you can change it. You can get other people in to help and leverage their talents to free up your time as well. But I think it's key that I think coaching in a lot of ways is underrated, just because people haven't experienced it directly. I think once they do, it's a game changer. I think because
it changes lives, and it also changes the lives of the family. Because, like I said, I mostly work with people that female entrepreneurs, but just entrepreneurs in general, and they often have young children, and they just don't want them to grow up thinking that their mother or their father needs to work themselves into pieces in order to have the life they want. They just don't want that anymore. And most of us are luckily at a position where we can just go, look, we've got the financial freedom now.
Yeah.
But there's more to life.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do that? How do you make time, and how do you create the time to spend it with your loved ones in the schedule? Because our lives are busy, and there will always be busy. So unless you buy a private island and you don't work ever again and turn off your phone, we're busy people, and there's nothing wrong with being busy.
Yeah.
But if it's costing you your health, your relationship, your self-worth, your being, then it's time for a shift in where you change your mindset around that success can come without sacrifice.
Yeah,
it's just what do you need as a person, and that has to come first. Because if you feel on the top of the world, like I said, those I wouldn't not, for example, not have one business magazine wanting to put me on the cover, but suddenly 10 show up in the same day, right? Yeah. If you need that new client, you're like, oh, I need to go talk to that person. And then, oh, yeah, I know exactly who you should talk to. And new client. And it's allowed to be easy. It's allowed to flow. It's allowed to be fun. It's allowed to, all the yummy goodness that life can offer us. And it doesn't need to be that strain of like, hard work because then I'm worthy. No, we're always worthy. You are.
Yeah.
And the sooner we realize that your amount of self-worth is not directly correlated to the amount of things you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a tricky one, because often when I recommend to one of my clients, look, Friday evening, you're going to do nothing. They're like, what? What do you want me to do? Nothing. I just want you to park your butt on the couch for like half an hour and do nothing. Oh, if anyone wants to try it, it might be quite tricky. Just and not take your phone out, not put on Netflix, and not nothing. Just sit there. maybe listen to the sounds. And no, it's snowing here at the time we're recording, so there's not much birdies out there. But if you just check up with the sounds, maybe you've got air conditioning, or maybe the dishwasher is spinning in the background, or just be.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yeah.
And that can be one of the most scary things to do if you're always too busy. Trust me, I've been there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, that can actually be very scary for people.
I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah. I've for a while now, most days, not every day, but most days, I've practiced that. Some point in the morning, part of my morning routine is moments of quietness and just being aware. And I guess that's kind of why, like, mindfulness has been a buzzword for a while now and used or misused, however you interpret it. But I think there is such a need for people to be, it comes back to self-awareness. Like what am I actually thinking about? What is actually driving me at this point? And is it a healthy thing?
I think it's the biggest one, because with the busyness, we're always out there with our focus. And it's an invitation to effectively just focus on you.
Yeah.
Just sit there.
So what would you say to people that are listening to us at the moment and think, man, that would be really scary. I'm not going to do that.
And don't. You don't have to. No, because I remember when I left my job, I worked at an international bank, and I thought, I would take the year off to have time for me. And the first 3 months, I was freaking out, and I spent watching the whole series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is like my favorite TV show. I watched it completely. That's 144 episodes, right? Just for me to be able to cope with it not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And then I did Angel after that as well. That's like a spin-off from the Buffy the Vampire story. Anyone that doesn't know it, but it's like, okay. So 3 months later, I was finally able just to be, and that's where I realized, the whole busy addiction. It's quite intense, but it's you don't need to go that cold turkey if that's not for you, right? But you can start with even if still doing something like going for a walk. Well, we're still on lockdown here, so not sure how far you can walk, but we can walk here around the block. So put your phone away and just look around, because it's still you focusing on you as you recognize what's around you. So you can start simple, and it doesn't need to be all like drama again, because that again it comes with the whole sacrifice thing and the belief that it has to be hard in there. So it doesn't have to be, and if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. That's the number one thing I teach my clients. You need to do what works for you. Yeah. And if you're not ready for that, then don't. It's that simple. There are 100,000 ways to success. Just because one way doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean you're lost cause and that's it. No, just listen to your gut and follow the route. That's it's the easiest. Like follow your bliss is what they say, right?
Yeah.
You're allowed.
But we are actually all wired to help ourselves, aren't we? In the sense of we have that intuition, we have that kind of nudge inside, the gut feeling, whatever word we want to use to describe it. And it's usually right. So I don't know, why do we struggle so much?
We get taught, especially when you grow up, of course, when you have adults around you, you get taught that that's not the way to do it, because, there's an intellectual way of things. Yeah. Because, as I grew up, my intuition has always been really strong. I've always been spot on. And in my work, I can also help that bit when I work with as a coaching client, I can help them just because I'm so fine-tuned to all the energies. And I remember growing up that an adult made a decision for me. And I think I was 6 at the time. And I just said, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do it. It's my life. I'm not going with your decision because you tell me what to do. And then you leave. And I'm stuck with the problem. Like, it's not for you to decide what's right for me.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're 6, people are like, what? Luckily, I grew up in the Netherlands where direct people, so it's not that weird when you direct with other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. And so by the time you grow up and you're an adult, how many people then go, no, let me check in with my feelings first. What do I feel?
Yeah.
It's just not in there anymore, just because it's always just, put to the side. And well, I've got two young children myself, and sometimes you think, if you look through your adult classes of what they're doing, but they always find that spot of that pure bliss, right? My daughter, she since I became an international best-selling author, she's writing her own books, so she makes like drawings of unicorns and stuff. She can like write 3 sentences. So yesterday she made a unicorn book, and it literally says, "Mama Unicorn, I love you. Yes, baby unicorn, I love you too." And just like 20 pages long, right? So great bedtime story when I have to read it. But it's just a pure excitement. And when she's talking to me about it, she's like jumping up and down just because she can't even stand still, because she's just so aligned with all that coloring and thing. And that's how I want my clients to feel, that when they wake up, it's like, okay, yes, holiday. What am I gonna do? And not like, oh, I need to do my to-do. No, get to that excitement first, and then start going from there. Because one, you will feel fantastic because you're like on fire, right? And all the ideas and inspiration and everything that will flow from it will get you to your goals so much faster, and it's so much fun.
Yeah,
because you're already on that place of funness, and yeah, that's the amazing part. Yeah,
it's really good. I'm just thinking, like, from what you've been saying, it's like you've communicated it very well. So thank you for the practical kind of the way that you've put things across. For people that are struggling with, like, going back to what you said about watching a whole box set, whatever, like that in the whole grand scheme of things, that chunk of time was actually a good investment for you, because it helped you break through, kind of change a routine, a habit, a way of thinking, that actually, I can do something different, and I'm still alive, and things are all right, kind of thing. And
yes, you will survive, even though it feels scary as you know what.
Yeah. Now, I know you're not advocating that everyone should just go home and watch TV all the time, because that's not what's inside us.
That's numbing it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Just a caveat for anybody who's listening, that's not what we're saying.
What we meant.
But the key thing, I think, what you're saying, to me, what's resonating above everything else is stick to prioritizing the things that make you feel alive, that maybe are so unique that everyone else around you is trying to talk you out of it. But just take courage to hold on to that and find a way to develop it gradually, if it takes,
one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. A few minutes a day. If you're freaking out about the thought of sitting down for half an hour, try 5 minutes, and then tomorrow try 6. And absolutely, just build up gradually. So, no, I think that's key. And I think if people then are kind of slightly further on the journey of that, then from my perspective, it would make sense to get in touch with you and look into getting some coaching as well, because I know from experience, coaching is such a key thing to just shine the light on things which
it makes it so much easier, and you can get to your goals so much faster. It comes down to the baker experience, right? Yeah. If you don't even know how to bake bread, it's even a big process, of course, of getting your own bread baked. Yeah,
it comes back to people having to evaluate what is really that valuable in my life, isn't it? I think
and ties in with the mindset. Do I give myself permission to make it myself as easy as possible?
Yeah.
And it ties in with the worthiness as well, where you if you believe that you only through struggle you are worthy, because you have to prove yourself in order to be able to receive.
Yeah.
And it's that shift that you can actually, what? No, I'm going to make it myself as easy as possible. I'm going to get help where I can. I'm going to allow help where I can. And I'm going to have the universe provide me with any opportunity and whatever it is I need to make this as easy as possible and as fun as possible it can possibly be.
Yeah.
That's how you get the whole success without sacrifice and work smarter, not harder philosophy.
Yeah. And it's like, trusting the process, isn't it? It's having as much courage in the process that
and yourself.
You can't see, how it's all going to work out.
Trust yourself. I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Do you trust yourself that you can do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the feeling.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is great. We're kind of almost coming to the end of the time, but I want to kind of give you the opportunity. How can people touch base with you? What's the best way for them to get in contact and follow what you do?
Well, I have a beautiful website called grantmethod.com. So Grant as in my last name. Not my last name, it's actually my husband's last name. But I'm married, so grantmethod.com. I'm mostly on LinkedIn. So I do have some other social media profiles, but connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Susanne Grant. Make sure you spell it right because I write it the Dutch way. So no Z in the middle. Okay. And reach out, send me a message, and we can have a quick chat and see what I can do for you. I've got a strategy call if you need just help clearing this whole thing and getting your path, and it can also, of course, the long-term coaching if you just want my help. And let's do this together. Sounds good.
So they can kind of have a conversation first off to see what might be a good fit and what might not be. Yeah,
there's no point in wasting each other's time. I'm the last person in the world to do that.
Absolutely. No, that's really good. Thank you for sharing with us. I found it useful. I've been making notes as I go as well. And yes, for everybody that's listening, I would challenge you, have a go 5 minutes a day, just sitting quiet, as Susanne says, and just putting the phone down, switching the TV off, just somehow get 5 minutes to yourself and just allow yourself to be, rather than feel you have to fill every waking moment with activity that's building your business or reaching new clients or whatever, fill in the blank, whatever that is for you. Yes, definitely take action, put that into practice, have a look at Susanne's website, get in touch with her and see how she can help you further. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye, but be proactive, people. We believe in you. We know that you can be successful without killing yourself or ruining your family if you manage your time well. So yes, definitely reach out to Susanne and see how she can help you. Until next episode, thanks very much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.